With the release of Counter-Strike 2 to its limited test, we were of course expecting some bugs to be happening. Some of those were quite hilarious, like the developers forgetting to disable certain commands in public matchmaking, so people basically had wall hacks, and this actually happened on I think 2 occasions, so yeah, that was kind of interesting. Or as an example, grenades interacting with smokes through walls, also kind of an interesting one. But one of my favorite ones definitely have to be the inspect animations. I think those are definitely hilarious. And don't get me wrong, inspect animations weren't perfect in CSGO either, like they were sometimes just clipping through people's hands or just in general look kind of off if you actually ended up slowing down the footage. But Counter-Strike 2 takes that actually to a whole new level, and here are some clips from Ohnepixel's stream. I think they speak for themselves. So let me just showcase really quickly how inspect animations look like in CSGO. As you can see right here, these are some of the inspect animations from like the butterfly as an example. We can also take a look at the inspect animations from the survival knife, because that one is extremely broken in Counter-Strike 2, so yeah, that one is kind of interesting as well. Let's take a look at the karambit as well as an example, so you can see it's perfectly fine in Counter-Strike. If we would slow down the footage, you could see that the knife is actually still clipping through the person's hand, so let me just do that really quickly. So as you can see, occasionally the knife actually clips through the person's hands, which looks very interesting. Knife animations were definitely not perfect either in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. You can see this also happens as an example with the flip knife. You can also see this happens with the M9. You can also see how bad it is with the shadow daggers actually. You can also see how awful it looks with the Talon knife. With the paracord knife, this also happens. Also happens with the gut knife, as you can see. Like sometimes it just kind of flips weirdly. There we go. So once you like knife and then go back instantly to the inspect, it actually glitches out really bizarrely. So yeah, there we go. Very nice. And of course, the butterfly knife also has some of those interesting animation errors, I would call them. However, this one is actually pretty smooth in comparison to some of the other ones, but yeah, kind of interesting. I just wanted to showcase this before we take a look at the CS2 clips, so we're all on the same page that CSGO animations weren't perfect either. So now that we saw that in Counter-Strike Global Offensive the knives weren't perfect either, let's move on to Counter-Strike 2, where we don't even have to slow down the time to break the knives. The inspect animations are just really broken at the current moment, and it is pretty hilarious. So without any slowing down of time or anything like that, yeah, take a look for it yourself. The karambit is really broken. Weapon inspects seem to be fine, but knife animations are just extremely broken. Probably one of the worst ones is the butterfly knife. I mean, it is absolutely hilarious how the knife is just going through the hand over and over again. And if you slow down the footage, it just gets even funnier. So yeah, I really hope Valve is going to fix it. I'm pretty sure they will fix that. But it is kind of surprising to me how like they messed this up so badly. Like in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you only really notice it like if you slowed down the game as an example, or if you slowed down the footage. Otherwise it wasn't really too apparent, but in Counter-Strike 2 it is just insane. I'm not entirely sure once again how they kind of messed that up, but I am pretty sure this will be fixed over time. The Ursus knife is also pretty bad. It kind of looks like it's falling out of the agent's hands, so yeah, speaks for itself. The Bowie knife also is pretty funny. I don't really know what to say about the Bowie knife. It is just hilarious, to be honest. It is literally stuck in the hand. That's how it looks like. So the classic knife seems to be fine in my opinion. Like it is kind of glitchy as well, but it isn't as bad as the other knives. The bayonet is fine, I think, as well. It is kind of glitchy every now and then, but it is definitely not as bad as the karambit or the Talon knife, or as an example, the butterfly knife. And as you can see right here, the Talon knife is pretty bad in Counter-Strike 2. It is pretty hilarious to say the least. Even though I gotta say this one was pretty bad in Counter-Strike Global Offensive as well, but only once again if you slowed down the footage. Otherwise you never really notice that. But in Counter-Strike 2 you definitely will notice that, because that is very, very apparent. And of course now we saved the best for last, and there was a specific reason why I showcased the survival knife, so let's take a look at that one. I like to call this one the wrist twister, and you can probably see why. This is probably one of the worst knives in Counter-Strike 2 right now, at least from the inspect animations, so as 3clicks Philip would probably say, Valve, please fix.